In Ohio, the sale of hotel lodging to transient guests is subject to sales tax. But what is considered a hotel, and what is a transient guest? In this video, we'll define these concepts and look at some examples to help Ohio business owners better navigate this tax. First, let's look at the definition of hotel from the Ohio Revised Code, Section 5739.01m. A hotel is defined as any establishment kept, used, maintained, advertised, or held out to the public to be a place where sleeping accommodations are offered to guests. Hotels have 5 or more rooms used for the accommodation of guests, whether the rooms are in one or several structures. A sleeping accommodation is an individual room set aside for sleeping. But an entire cabin can be a sleeping accommodation if it's rented as a whole cabin rather than by individual rooms. Finally, a transient guest is a person who occupies a room or rooms for sleeping accommodations for fewer than 30 consecutive days. Let's look at some examples to help clarify what is and is not subject to sales tax. Sonny's Retreats is a property management company in Southeast Ohio. The company owns 8 cabins in various parts of Hocking County and 1 lodge in Athens County. The lodge has 7 rooms, which are rented individually. Because the lodge has 5 or more rooms for guests, the business must collect and remit sales tax on those rentals. Also, because each individual cabin is a sleeping accommodation and Sonny's Retreats owns more than 5, it will need to collect and remit sales tax on those rentals as well, even if they are not located in the same area. There are a few other things Sonny's Retreats should keep in mind regarding sales tax. First, there may be local lodging taxes that need to be added to guest bills in addition to the state sales tax. Next, only the charge for the room is taxable. This means that the business should not charge tax on smoking fees, self-parking fees, or valet charges. It also doesn't need to collect tax on any cancellation fees if a guest was not charged the full room rate. Let's look at another example. Genevieve's Geneva Hideouts owns 3 lakefront homes on Lake Erie in Ashtabula County. Each lake house is rented as a unit for 2-day rentals, so each counts as 1 sleeping accommodation. Since there are fewer than 5 accommodations, Genevieve doesn't need to collect and remit sales tax on her rentals. If Genevieve decides to expand her business and purchase additional homes for rent as entire units, she will not need to collect sales tax until she has 5 or more accommodations. If at any point, Genevieve decides to move from 2-day rentals to renting each home for the entire 3-month summer season, her guests would no longer be considered transient because their stay is over 30 days, and she would not need to collect and remit sales tax, even if she owns 5 or more homes. Let's look at one final example. In Holmes County, Lori's Lazy Days Inn offers 2 homes as bed and breakfasts. Each B&B has 2 bedrooms that are rented individually, making a total of 4 sleeping accommodations. Since the company owns under 5 accommodations, it is not required to collect and remit sales tax. However, the company does offer breakfast on premises, so it must charge sales tax on the meal. In fact, Lori should separate the lodging and food on the bills to his guests so he can charge appropriate sales tax on their breakfasts alone. If the charges are not separated, the company should collect sales tax on the total invoice, including lodging and breakfast. Further information on sales tax can be found on tax.ohio.gov. You can also call our business tax helpline at 888-405-4039. We're happy to help.